compensation. A decision that deeply worries people like Philip Pothita. He's a fourth-generation farmer in the hills of Limpopo.
It's worrying because promises are being made to the masses, and you don't want to make promises to the masses and not deliver. So currently, it's a boiling pot. We grew year by year.
Mr. Pothita took us for a tour of his avocado and nut farm. It's a profitable business, employing hundreds of local people, and he's not prepared to hand it over.
It's in our blood, our ancestors, our fathers, grandfathers. This is what we were born to do. I mean, where do I go? I can't just pack up here and leave everything we've done here.
This farm is already subject to 4 claims filed by community groups who say the land originally belonged to them. And the official overseeing the process says Mr. Pothita will have to come to the table.
What do you say to a guy who owns land that's been in the family for 4 or 5 generations?
There's nothing we can do, but we can put you through the process together with the community until we find a way out of this.
Said a bunch of nothing.
For real.
South Africa's fucked. It's totally fucked. It's only gotten worse and worse and worse.
I found it interesting that when he was talking about promises, he didn't explicitly say that, oh yeah, they're promising to kill all the white people. Like, was he not allowed to say that, or did they cut it? It's crazy.
Well, we're gonna get into all that, man. Please support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, or the Super Chat. Take the $7 challenge. No one else can bring you this type of story, man, here on this sector of YouTube, man. Nowhere else can you talk about this on YouTube, man. On have a conversation about this on this sector of YouTube, man. Please take the $7 challenge, man, to support the show. This guy right here.
Real quick, you know what will be pretty awesome if we can get some umbritos to protest about the umbritos that don't belong here and get them to go back.
There's a lot of them. Myself included.
They're probably telling the authorities what they know.
Yeah.
They're probably calling them sellouts, man. They probably gonna come up with a new word for like a Latino Uncle Tom or something, man.
Oh yeah, I get that all the time. I get that all the time because they tell me you're Hispanic, so why do you support Trump? I'm like, well, first off, I'm American. Second, I don't agree with these people being here. We don't know.
You breaking up, man.
Oh, I just said that I don't know. We don't know who the fuck they are, so I don't agree with them being here. And I'm American, first off. So. But yeah, they call you traitor and stuff like that. If you're a burrito and you're against illegals and all that, they'll call you that. Just like Uncle Tom and all that. So yeah, you're right. They're gonna make up a word one day for guys like me.
This happened before in another African country.
Tio Thomas. Huh? They're gonna call you Tio Thomas.
Tio Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this happened before in another country in Africa, man, where it was mad that the white people would be like jealous of this shit. I mean, I can see that, man. These two fucking goddamn ogre-looking white dudes are rich and shit, and every black person I know is fucking like scratching for food. I could understand how that would piss people off. I could understand.
I mean, that's how it always ends up.
Yeah,
that's why it was stupid to go there in the first place.
Yeah, you're not gonna win in this scenario ever. It's always going to end up boiling over.
Yeah, I mean, like it's eventually like look at this motherfucker. Like this just shows you how IQ is, man. IQ is like these two fucking oafy looking motherfuckers got they so much like smarter than the blacks there that they can like just have all the land and make all the money.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, 1,000 head of cattle is a fucking big operation.
It's just IQ,
Yeah.
man. It's just IQ.
See, but
Like that's all.
their final mistake was thinking that they could negotiate with these people. Like they could
Yeah.
come to an understanding that, we'll teach you this or we'll give you that.
You
Never gonna
can't
work.
negotiate with jealousy. It doesn't
Wow,
work.
that's true. Could be amended at any time by Parliament.
Yeah,
Salute to
like paperwork doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. The only thing that matters is violence.
yep.
Yeah, to
Salute.
negate property rights and create fucking communism.
Also, we have to be logically consistent and tell this glider he's not a Zimbabwean, even though he was born there.
Right. He's
It's the
not a
same.
Zimbabwe in the same way. Like
Well, he's a Rhodesian.
Yeah, true, but still, you know what I mean. He's not an African, even though
no,
he's been there for generations. It's just not how the world works. Also, the
Yeah.
funny thing is, these Africans, when they move to Britain, they claim to be British, just like the ethnic Britons.
Yeah,
So,
because they're
so
better at like extorting you guys with more they extort you with like your morality. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's nothing in their morality to extort them with. Like how you gonna extort them morally extort these people? They don't have it in their they don't even have the power or the morality to be extorted that way.
compassion to them is something to be weaponized. It's just a means to get to what they want.
Yeah, they're shrewd in that way. But salute to Doug G, man. Doug G says, I here on Brito get the majority of DUIs issued here. Yeah, that's true, man. Speaking about those Britos in America, yep. They are the majority of the DUIs. It inadvertently makes 12 times as many sons with his medicine and his fucking order. His order, like one thing
food.
yeah, but one thing too, like Africans would massacre each other routinely, right? With the order that the white man brings, you know what I'm saying? The law, the rule of law, which kind of like, prevents many of those massacres, like, because the law takes care of many disputes. Many small disputes would end in just like tribes being massacred. But if you have a law where, like, okay, take it up to the court and we'll deal with it, and then we'll issue the penalty. You don't have as many of those disputes turning into massacres. So yes. So you got 12 million blacks there now, where you would normally you probably still have a million. You would probably still have a million if it was, or less if it was left to them, if they were left alone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I believe colonization gave massive population growth.
Yeah. The birth rate, like the babies being born in hospitals instead of on the fucking jungle and shit. Fucking like the malaria, like the fucking flies and shit over there, fucking killer flies and shit, killer fucking mosquitoes.
Yep.
The fucking medicine for the killer mosquitoes.
Ivermectin did a lot of good in Africa.
Yeah. Exactly, man. They got
and
flies
the mosquito
over there
tents.
to your ass.
The mosquito tents too saved a lot of people.
Yeah. Just telling them to fucking fill the puddles with dirt. They didn't know that. They didn't know to fill all the puddles with dirt so that the mosquitoes wouldn't have anywhere to grow. Just that, telling them that saved fucking probably 500,000 of them.
True too. Yeah.
You know,
the fact that they didn't,
telling them how to boil their water and shit and shit like that, and
or just dig a few feet into the ground and have some fresh water.
Yeah, exactly. The water's right there under your feet. You don't have to march to the lake and fucking go through another tribe's area and fucking piss them off, and then they come kill all of you all. Like just dig a hole and the water's there. But yeah, make sure you don't dig it near your latrine. And make sure you make the latrine far out away from the fucking village so it doesn't pollute the groundwater. All these little things, man, that they told Africans, not even the big things, the little shit saved, made, help multiply them.
Basic
Yo,
stuff.
but
Well,
I gotta ask. So this is all common sense stuff you're saying. Like, do they not have common sense? Cause, or what
well,
is it? Cause,
cool cat, like
like,
mosquito net, for example. That's common sense. You use a net to go catch fish. I'm sure they, well, I don't know now, but you think they would have
no,
come
I'm
up with a
saying
mosquito net.
Yeah, but the mosquito net is really hard to make.
Yeah, it
no,
is.
no. But I'm saying stuff like digging for water or not like not
Well, they
having
survived
your
without it though. Here's the thing though. They
uh
survived without knowing that the water was right there. They survived. Like as long as they're surviving, they're fine. They're not like trying to
oh
like build like advanced societies. These these
oh
people are
okay
programmed to just survive.
Subsistence.
Yeah,
yeah
they're not like trying to like create like build aqueducts and dams and shit. They're like just trying to like as long as they're living, that's that's good for them. Like think about it. Even in like metropolises, they live on they find the baseline of life. You know what I mean? They find it wherever the margin of life is, they're gonna seek it out and find it.
okay
The poverty level. They're gonna live right at the poverty level.
Yeah, because and that's fine for them too. Like I mean, they're not like they're only put out by it in Western societies where there's more or there's there's like competition and there's this
ambition
there's something else to look at. There's a comparison.
Yeah,
There's
there's
like
people walking around with nice stuff and all this whatever, and they don't look like you and they don't sound like you, and it just drives that inner desire to take it.
yeah. Salute the boy Kachina, man. Boy Kachina been going crazy with the donations lately. Shout out to Boy Kachina, man. He
salute
says, coming to America, Eddie Murphy movie and U.S. aid flights. Mugabe style empathy. Cheers to the nation of Ak and Ak. Yeah, these people, so much aid, like that aid that they cut off, that Trump cut off. These people are gonna be fine. Because all that was happening was the leader or the president, the dictator, was taking it and funneling it over to Swiss bank accounts. The people weren't getting that aid anyway. Almost every African leader steals all of the aid. Like
The
probably like
What? Once again, niggas stealing from niggas, niggas scamming from niggas.
yeah, like rotate. You use half of it field 1 year, and then you use the other half the
Yeah,
next
you
year.
have cover
facts.
crops,
Yeah, you gotta
Also,
balance
give
out
the
the nitrogen.
we've been using plows for literally thousands of years, and they still haven't discovered the plow yet. It blows my mind.
yeah you gotta give the ground a break too.
Yeah,
and they have the animals there. The beasts of burden are all around. You think they
Right?
would have tried to use them?
Exactly.
they don't even
Hmm?
eat the beast. They like slit the neck and suck blood out of it and shit.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that? That's how they drink. They drink cow blood. You didn't know that?
No, wait, but they
Is
don't
that
eat
this
the cow
particular
like
tribe?
they.
Well, a lot of the African tribes, like I know in Kenya, they're vegetarians, but they herd cows.
That's
Yeah,
They're
crazy.
like
the cow is too
regularly.
valuable to eat. You can't eat the cow. You just tap it from time to time for some blood and mix it with raw milk. But they don't eat it until it dies of old age.
Nah,
That is
hell no.
savage.
Hell
I
Yeah,
mean,
the
it
cow
makes sense.
supplies milk and blood because they drink blood over. They drink cow blood. They cut the jugular. They put a small hole in the jugular and drink from it.
Oh,
which is delicious, by the way. You should try it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really good. Blood is super sweet, especially if you mix it with milk. It's really good stuff.
Oh wow,
yeah,
I'm good. I'm Gucci though. Thank you.
I'm
Concerned?
suspect.
The
yeah,
answer is simple.
yeah. But you're gonna put
Government
some
should.
sugar.
Mugabe says you should
Just
all
gotta
go
get
home.
that out of the way.
That's the problem. They should
Who
be. They
fucking
have every
cares?
reason.
They just straight up change. It's just a completely different energy to both groups of people. Like they just have different energies. Like the white people are white people. No matter what, they're very calm. Like no matter what um socioeconomic status is, they're usually calmer and more centered than black people. And black people are more outwardly. You know what I'm saying? We show more of what's
Emotion.
yeah outwardly.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the ability to look ahead and plan ahead, it gives you a sense of inner peace, right? So it calms you down a lot. If you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, you're in this world of chaos and you have no certainty. It makes you angry, and you're angry at the world because you don't understand it. It's as simple as that, I think.
Salute to Deluxe 247, aka Cal Ripken, aka the real MVP, coming through once again.
So what would you call that then? An IQ problem or something else?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's actually there's nothing you
Certainly,
can do about it. There's
it's a,
nothing you can do about that. That can't be fixed.
it's IQ, and it's also hormones, because some people compared to whites, they have between 27 to 39% more estrogen. And if you have high estrogen levels, you're just angry and unpredictable, like a woman, basically.
And then if you add in no father and only a single
Yeah,
crazy mother, Jesus.
no
Yeah.
discipline and high hormones. It's just a recipe for disaster. But it works in Africa because the land is so fertile. You need this self-regulation, this violence because otherwise it would just overpopulate. I mean, from an evolutionary standpoint, I guess, if that makes
That's why you
sense.
gotta get. That's why you gotta get you some $40 Cash App hoes.
Yeah.
Farming is not a glamorous field in South Africa. Many young people opt for office jobs. This is despite the fact that government has lucrative incentives for young people to take up farming. But over the past few years, more and more young people are venturing into this territory. Dimakazo Nono Sekgoto is one such young South African. She left a high-paying job 5 years ago and moved to manage her father's 2,000-acre farm 3 hours away from the country's economic hub, Gauteng.
It's more than the farm. So the first 2 to 3 years, obviously, sat in the farm to learn more and understand, what farming is about and how I work. And I was obviously doing most of the finances, so which allows me to learn all the units. But what I thought was even more interesting was when I started exploring the rest of the industry and realizing the opportunities that lie within the agricultural sector. And that's why I've decided this is definitely a place to be.
The father and daughter team mainly focuses on cattle farming and apple production. But since Khoto joined her father in farming, weather patterns have changed. The El Nino weather phenomenon has devastated the cultivation of crops and slowed down economic growth.
That was very hard, I won't lie. Last year, the issue was we had, when the drought kind of, hit really bad levels, our crop, we had planted sunflower and maize, and we only got back 30% of what we planted. And what made it worse is that we had debt that we had obviously, financed, that had financed the crop. And so we weren't able to pay that. And then the beginning of the year, our apple orchard also did not produce enough crop for us to go to the market, which meant 3 months worth of income, which was lost from January to March. And sadly, with that, we actually had to take a decision to retrench a few workers, which was very hard for us.
Many young farmers like Sekgoto believe that farming needs a change of image to attract more young people.
As I explored the industry, the focus I'm now kind of looking at is with youth in agriculture.
So now you got to make farming cool and shit.
Gotta build the Instagram just for farming and shit.
Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, but these white farmers, they're if you get rid of them, man, it is going to be a shit show over there, man.
It's been one of the most contentious and highly debated forms of crime in South Africa for many years now. But now police say farm attacks are on the decrease. They say the breakthrough has come because of successful crime prevention program they've put in place, focusing specifically on rural areas. But there are still lingering concerns in the farming sector, particularly the loss of skilled, experienced farmers should attacks flare up. Ronald Masunda reports.
Jan Tamboer says he has vivid memories of the day when 4 thugs stormed the farm near Jeffreys Bay last year. They ransacked his house, stole money and food, and brutally assaulted his wife. Tamboer, who was also shot in the head, says he now has to look after his wife, whose leg had to be amputated after the attack.
Hulle het ingeval in die huis en ek het gehoor hoe hy met hulle praat en vra vir hulle, wat maak julle dan nou? Hoe kom julle dan in die deur? Julle klop nie. Julle kom so onverskillig in. Hulle het gesê dit maak nie saak nie. Ons kom in. En hulle het ingekom en toe hulle in die huis inkom het hulle in die kamer ingegaan. Toe sien ek nee, dit is hierdie mense. Is nie mense wat vir mense vir ons wil kom kuier nie. Dis iemand anders.
2 of the culprits were arrested, and on Friday they were handed sentences of up to 30 years in prison. David Fallon, a community activist, says he fears that more of these attacks are contributing to farmers and their workers to quitting the sector.
There's a family from Hankey. The husband was away. The attacker came, shot his way into the house, raped the mother, attempted to rape the daughter, attempted to get the son to rape his sister. And
you heard that? Attempted to make the son rape his sister. They always do shit like that. Like, that's just wicked. Like, think about like coming into somebody's house to rob them, and you still have time enough to like hold them at gunpoint and say, "Hey, man, rape your sister." That's a wickedness that is just unquenchable.
Something wrong with his mind.
They take their time with them, yeah. Have you ever heard what they believe in how to get rid of AIDS?
Yeah. You rape a virgin.
Yeah, and they usually do it with babies because they believe.
The pureness, the babies.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
Yeah. They believe that's the cure.
They do that.
Yeah, they believe to get rid of AIDS, you have to pass it on to somebody else. And the best way is if you use somebody who's pure and innocent. So,
hell no.
They do it to babies, yeah. And the babies often die.
Yo, these people are just sick. There's no helping this at all.
Yeah, man. It's no solution.
Yeah, there's no solution. You just gotta pop them, and that's it.
Yeah, it's tough being a farm. And listen, this happens to black farmers and white farmers, but it happens more to white farmers though, like because of the animosity towards them. But yeah, these motherfuckers, these people out here, they attack all types of people. They're wicked. Like it's just wicked, man. We see all about the grandmothers in was that Kenya? We did the story a couple weeks ago. The grandmothers. They're just wicked, man. Like there's a wickedness. Let me put it like this: it's probably not even wickedness. Let me change it. It's probably just they operate on a different operating system. It's kind of like a computer. Like their operating system is just different.
It's animalistic.
Yeah, like I'm gonna come into your house.
They're beasts.
And I'm gonna make your siblings have sex while I watch. Like, yo, instead of like just grabbing the loot and getting the fuck on.
Yeah, which that's what most people would do. Just get the money and get the fuck out. That's what I would do. If I was a criminal, yo, I'm gonna just get the money and I'm out. Yo, I don't mean no harm. I just want the cash and I'm out. I'm not doing all that shit.
Even if I did rape the wife, I would just rape the wife and then get the fuck out.
Well, who was talking about hormones? Because personally, I'm of the opinion when sons do these like heinous crimes, right? I'm of the opinion half of what drives them to do it is like the action. Like they just like that's the game. Like they just love to do it, money or not. Or else how do you explain why they stab people for like a fucking pair of shoes worth $100?
Yeah, it's
They're
exciting.
evil.
Well, it's just animal behavior.
It's like a
It's just-
vampirism. Like they gotta quench that fucking sun
well,
energy.
That's how you get what you want in a very rudimentary sort of existence. Is you just violently attack somebody that has something you want.
Yep.
It's just animal behavior.
Yeah, that shit is wicked, yo. That shit is wicked, man. We got Mac Mean in the building. Shout out to Mac Mean, man.
Quitting the sector.
From the dirty section, man. We got the dirty section in the building, man.
It's a family from Henke. The husband was away. The attacker came, shot his way into the house, raped the mother, attempted to rape the daughter, attempted to get the son to rape his sister. And he was eventually caught and tried. I was privileged to be in court when he was sentenced. I think he got 30 years, not enough. But that family, through the trauma, sold up the farm and they've moved to Australia.
The South African Police Service says between April and June this year, only 14 farmers were killed in the country. And while those in agriculture acknowledge that policing in rural areas is improving, they say more can still be done.
You can go to the stats. If you see 10 years ago, the amount of small stock farmers, if I talk about small stock, I talk about sheep and goat farmers in our province, have decreased tremendously. And the biggest issue that we are facing is stock theft. And that's also a huge concern for us.
Agriculture plays a critical role in the country.
Each cross right here is representative of a white farmer that was killed by the each cross is a white farmer that was killed.
Yeah, let's not forget it's not only farmers that they kill. There's also a bunch of just regular whites that live there, and very poor whites. They also get tortured and killed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But each cross right here is like some white person on the phone. And listen, they kill them brutally. Like it ain't just like we talked about. It's like brutal. That like
it's in the most horrific way you can imagine. It's unbelievable what they do to these people.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And this is a thing. Trump talked about this today. That's why we doing this, because Trump said
good for him.
that he said good for Trump. Trump said he gonna try to do something about this. And I'm like, yo, if Trump try to do something about this, like it's one thing to mess with like Central American countries, but when you mess with an African country, all that FBA versus tether shit gonna go out the window. Niggas gonna get mad. Niggas gonna have a problem with the American government fucking with an African country. They're gonna have a problem with that shit. They're gonna have a problem.
That's a lot of crosses, though. I mean, damn.
It goes on. There's many more.
Yeah, the murder rate in South Africa is insane.
Yeah, it is. It's out of like you can't even fathom, because they don't even keep. They keep stats but they don't keep like accurate stats. But for the stats they keep, it is absolutely. I think they're number one. I think they're the most the either top 5 or something. But they have a shit ton of murders. I'm talking about like tires. They put tires around people's necks. They put they set a lot of people on fire in broad daylight over there.
Necklacing.
Yeah. It's nothing to shit. It's nothing to see somebody on fire and shit. But yeah, this group right here, Julius Malema, yeah, he's the one. He's the one that is. Oh, let me get to Trump. Let me see what Trump said, man. Trump. Okay, here it is, right here. Trump said,
because nobody talks about this.
Hey, for real,
Trump,
I've never heard.
He said South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want to so much as mention. A massive human rights violation, at a minimum, is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of this situation has been completed.
Damn, respect.
Wow. That's crazy. Like, because black people gonna be like, man, but what about slavery? Y'all give us reparation. Like, it's gonna be about everything but this. It's gonna be like, what about me? What about me? And this gonna be interesting to see how, because Trump got a lot of support from blacks, right? Because as much as any Republican could get, they voted for him as much as any Republican could get, and now that he's getting rid of the illegals, they're supporting him. But this right here, I think this is gonna be a problem with Trump, man. As far as hold on, here we go, right here, talking about it right here.
African nations and why South Africa. So you said that you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is
Happening in every African country.
terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
And on the bed, so you said that you were going to.
So Trump beefing with an African country is going to be that shit. I don't know, man, how that's going to work out, man.
The media is gonna spin it that he's being racist.
Of course they are.
Yeah, they're not gonna see the part that hey, he's trying to save people's lives. They're not gonna see that part.
Of course they are.
I don't know what Donald Trump has to do with South African land because he's never been here. And he must keep his America. We will keep our South Africa.
We'll keep our money then, huh?
We'll keep our money.
For real.
South Africa is our land. South Africa belongs to all the people who live here in South Africa. It does not belong to Donald Trump. He can keep his America. And Ene is even worse. He's even worse. When I meet him, I will tell him.
He's a poopy pants.
Donald Trump, you are even worse because your forebears came to America. They found the indigenous Americans. They wiped them out. They killed nearly all of them. We are living. We are.
Oh, that's what they're doing.
And black and white, we are going to find solutions for our land question. So Donald Trump must leave us alone. He must leave us alone, Maori. When we were facing apartheid, when we were facing oppression, he was not here. He did not fight side by side with us. And we were able, on our own. Yeah.
Well, that's not really true. Like a lot of Americans, I mean, I don't know Donald Trump in personally, but a lot of Americans, there was a divestment of companies that a lot of divestment from companies that were supported this white South African government. There was a lot of pressure put on the white South African government to end apartheid.
They got fucked.
Americans.
And all the aid we send them. So I guess we'll keep our aid too.
And let's not forget that all these Sunwords there, they have no claim to the land of South Africa because it was empty before gliders came there.
Right.
There was literally nobody there before gliders settled there.
And South Africa was a powerhouse of a country.
And now all the Suns are moving there and colonizing them and getting rid of the gliders.
Facts.
It's a travesty.
It was a nuclear power, I think. Actually, I think the first
They had all types of shit.
The first heart transplant in the world took place in South Africa, I think.
Oh shit.
Fighter jets, all that stuff.
They never actually made nuclear weapons. They disbanded that program when they realized that it was going to be a black-run government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
thank
sounds
God.
like a good idea.
They were smart.
Yeah, thank God. That's why we're still alive.
Apartheid tore South Africa apart. Some say the white oppressors are now the persecuted. White farms are being robbed and farmers murdered.
Not only do they kill, but the way they kill. They torture you.
The government says they're crimes like any other, in a society where poverty breeds violence.
There is crime, which is affecting everyone, whether black or white.
Their victims claim that behind the farm attacks is racial hatred, stirred up by politicians.
We've been murdered for some time now. They are coming to take the land as well. And I think that's very hard to conclude that there's not a racist motive.
And then more crosses for the dead white people.
Yo, these people need weapons. Like, I legitimately hope there's like a pipeline that someone's helping them.
But they're organizing themselves.
This is hate. This is
That dude's
political
legitimately
hate.
crazy. If you listen to him talk in Parliament,
That's Julius Malema, man.
he's out of his mind.
Kill the white people.
He wants to consolidate everything. Like, he wants control of every single aspect of society.
I mean, he's a communist, a Marxist. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Taking the future into our own hands.
180 years ago, Afrikaner farmers, the Boers, crossed the Vaal River with their ox wagons and flocks. They bought off or fought off the scattered tribes that lived across the river. A century later, any black landowners that remained were forced to leave. Under the policy of apartheid, the only blacks who were allowed to live here were workers on the white men's farms or in the white men's mines.
Ark, I have an idea.
Keep those weapons on the target.
I think maybe the South African Sun people, they should create a sports league that the gliders in South Africa could participate in. And then they could, be like the Sun people here in America.
I mean, I'm sure they got sports and shit. I mean, they got everything, but it's just you probably just don't know about it because it's not like big time and shit.
They gotta worry about staying alive.
Now it's the Boers who are feeling under siege.
Keep your barrel on the target. I want as many barrels pointing at windows as possible.
When a farm attack's reported, armed civilians often arrive long before police.
Clear. Windows left. Everyone ready? I haven't heard anybody shout if there's somebody in that house. Have we got a victim there?
The guns aren't loaded, but this training exercise is deadly serious.
Move, yeah.
There might be survivors in the house in desperate need of help, but the criminals might still be in there too.
Ready? Bridge. Okay, gents, what you did here was better than when you were coming through that door.
Trevor Roberts' security company, Conserve, used to specialize in guarding wildlife against poachers.
You guys are coming around and you're tending to turn the weapon.
Now, deterring and responding to violent robberies on isolated farms is his company's core business.
As little of your body being shown as possible.
A gun battle, he says, is the last thing he wants his volunteers to face.
So it's there, and then move. The ideal situation is to rather get the perpetrators out of the house and into the fields.
So you'd rather scare them away?
We'd rather scare them away and run, and our objective is to save a life, and that would be the victim.
An hour's drive southwest of Muldersdrift, on the maize fields around Fockville, on May the 13th this year, nobody was scared away, and nobody's life was saved. "78-year-old Fani Engelbrecht didn't have time to call for help. When Fani and his wife Colleen didn't show up for Mother's Day lunch, his son Johan strolled 300 meters up the track to his parents' house to investigate.
When I came here, my dad's vehicle was standing here, like he was already back from church, nothing unusual. And I went into the house. As I entered into the wall here, there was a lot of blood lying on the floor here. And I immediately realized that something is wrong. This is the door that actually broke down to get to a study. And I found them lying there, tied together, next to each other.
Right here, tied together?
Yeah, they were tied. My dad was lying on his back. My mother was lying face down, hands tied behind a back. My dad had a big gaping hole like the size of a golf ball in his throat. There was a pool of blood here all over. When I touched him, he was cold already. My mother was lying face down, but she was still hot. But I couldn't feel a pulse. Their throats were slit. They were tortured here. I found a iron cord around my mother's neck. She was obviously, they tortured her. And yeah.
Why do you think they would have done that?
I think they wanted the keys for the safes. They wanted the keys for the vehicles, you know, and they tortured them to get that information out of them.
And then they killed him.
They didn't stop.
He don't understand that that ain't why they tortured him. That ain't why they tortured him, man. But yeah, this right here, man. He's very calm, man. Like, yo, this dude very composed, man. Support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, or the Super Chat. Take the $7 challenge. Support the content, man. Are you guys not enjoying this content? You want me to do crime in Detroit or some shit like that every night? Or goddamn some 15-year-old fucking son turd carjacking somebody in fucking Memphis every night?
And then they killed him, yeah, when they're done. My dad always said, it's not if, it's when.
Did he?
Yeah. He knew it's coming. We all know it's coming. It's just a question of when.
When Johan called his wife Sua to tell her the grim news,
then why are
she
you
could barely
there?
speak to their daughter Tessa.
My ma het nie woorde gehad nie, want ek het haar gevra, "Mamma, wat gaan aan? Sê my wat gaan aan," want sy het so geruk toe my pa haar bel dat sy nie kon praat nie. En al wat sy kon uitkry is oupa, ouma vermoor. En ek het in mekaar ingesak, ek het gehuil en ek het nie geweet wat om te doen nie. Ek was baie naby aan hulle en hulle was albei wonderlike, sagte mense, kinders van die Here.
Aren't you frightened to live here?
Ek het nogal, ek weet nie, as ek kamer toe gaan dit my laaste dag wees nie. Ek weet nie of ek dalk weer gaan opstaan nie.
En hierdie drade gaan nou seker hier inkom.
Belatedly, with the help of his neighbour, Johan Engelbrecht is installing electrified security fences around his farmhouse, mainly to assuage the fears of his wife and daughter.
I'm doing
Keep the animals out.
It might make them feel safer, but I know for sure that if they want you, they will get you outside. You can build a prison around your house, but at some point you have to leave that prison and go out and farm. And that's where they get you.
That's true. He said, damn, you can build a prison in your house, but you have to go to the fields and farm the land.
Get an AK and take it with you, and just blast. Don't even.
My dad's best friend used to do security over there, and you have to shoot. He killed people nonstop.
Yeah, you have to.
Just to protect infrastructure. He said like every 3 to 5 years there would be an uprising, and the Sons would just start looting and ripping apart, factories and shopping centers and whatever, and you just got to mow people down.
Wow.
Yeah, they only understand
you can
violence.
build a prison around your house, but at some point you have to leave that prison and go out and farm. And that's where they get you.
In Australia, a double murder on a farm would be headline news for days. Not in South Africa. It's just too common an event.
My one neighbor, Honest Kitching, and his wife, they were murdered about 6 months ago. Then there's Miss Simpson, Nikki Simpson. She was tortured, drilled through her knees and feet. Then there's Piet Hugo.
Drilled through her knees and feet.
Oh,
you ain't doing that to get no fucking keys, man. Because once you pull the drill out, the bitch gonna tell you where the keys at, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
She ain't gonna wait till you drill through her fucking kneecap to give you the keys. Not no woman.
I mean, just look at what Sons do to each other here. Just
yeah, for real.
Vile shit all the time.
Yeah, look at Chicago and that. I mean, yo, this is just sick.
Shout out to Big Larry. Big Larry in the building. Salute.
So a neighbor not far from here, he was shot. Carl Hall was shot. So in the last 10, 20 years in this area, I can name 20, 30 attacks, murders on farmers.
Plaasmoeder is Afrikaans for farm murders. On a hillside in Limpopo province, a private landowner has planted more than 2,000 crosses.
Jesus Christ. Just in this area, they killed 2,000 fucking farmers. That's insane.
That they know of, too.
Fuck.
Each one represents an individual murdered in a farm attack since 1994. 75 more crosses were added last year. But that figure is controversial. The nation's biggest commercial farmers' union claims there were only 47 farm murders last year, the lowest number in nearly 20 years. AfriForum, an outspoken Afrikaner lobby group, says that figure is absurd.
it's certainly wrong. During the calendar year of 2017, there's been 84 farm murders that we could verify. And when we say we could verify, we mean we have a list and we have the names of the people actually who've been murdered. So to say that there's only been 47 is, I don't know if it's malicious or if it's negligence or if there's a problem with the process in collecting the data. There could be a variety of reasons why the number is wrong.
It's malicious.
It's political.
Whether farm murders last year numbered 47 or 75 or 84, they're dwarfed by the total number of people killed in one of the most violent societies on earth.
Who are the violent people?
This place, perhaps deliberately, reminds a visitor of a war cemetery. And like all such places, it's moving. Each one of these crosses represents somebody's father or mother, somebody's son or daughter whose life was brutally cut short. And yet these 2,000 crosses represent white farmers and their families murdered since 1994. If you planted a cross for every South African, black or white, who's been murdered just last year, the crosses would stretch beyond the horizon, nearly 20,000 of them. And most of them have no memorial.
20,000 murders last year? And that country's nowhere near as big as America. Like,
no, 20,000 is low, dog. That's very low. It's more like 60 to 70,000 that they can confirm. And this is a country of like 60 million people, 70 million people.
Yeah. It's not as.
But they have a big illegal immigration problem too, because like in America, the only vestige of economic stability and prosperity is in South Africa. So all the African sons from the north are flooding in there to try and mine and loot or whatever. The unemployment rate here is like over a third of the population, close to half.
Crazy.
Not far from the Engelbrecht farm near Fochville is the so-called informal settlement of Deep Sloot. It's a place of dire poverty and soaring unemployment.
This settlement has grown up so much because
it wouldn't be wise to venture in here without a guide. Local journalist Golden Tika is mine. He introduces me to Sabasu, whose family of 8 lives in a one-room shack. She's been waiting for a government house for 11 years. Most of that time, she's been unemployed.
I've done nursing, the 2-year courses, but I still can't find even just any other job, even without the one that I have qualifications for.
Where would you like to live if you could choose?
I would like to choose to live somewhere else because this place, I have small kids and I don't think it's a good environment for my kids to.
Look at this. I mean, everywhere these people are, these fucking like sewers. There's just they haven't figured out how to cover the sewer. Like, it's the darndest thing, man. Like, nowhere where they don't live like under white people do they cover the sewer.
I mean, to be fair, it looks quite clean compared to others we have seen. And they even have toilets there. So
yeah, they have porta potties.
Yeah,
well, I mean, they didn't build those. Those are imported.
I was just gonna say, I wonder where those came from.
Imagine the smell in those.
I mean, God, imagine
baking in the sun.
Yeah. It's like imagine when it rains, right? Like after it rains and then it gets out again.
Damn.
That little period. Oh my God.
Bro, we don't even have water, and more especially about sanitation. It's something that.
Imagine all the pedophiles over here, man. Like, think about how hard it is to control pedophiles in America with all the laws we got.
I'm sure every woman in there's been raped.
At least once, yeah. I mean, what blows my mind is these people walk around there in flip-flops. That's the craziest thing to me.
They could just put down a plank.
They don't have that stuff. Like, they don't have access to materials. They don't know how to. None of this occurs to any
Go
of them.
find a fucking piece of wood.
Well,
Even
I
the
mean,
stuff like that their houses are built out of are scraps from industries that they didn't build.
keep in mind though, this isn't any different from what it was 100, 200, 1,000, 10,000. Like this is just the baseline. So like we're saying this is
Well, this
white
is an
people.
improvement from what it would have been.
True, that is true. But like
Yo.
sons didn't have fucking shoes because they're sons, so it's not anything new.
I mean, if you put the plank down, somebody's gonna steal it and burn it.
No, yeah.
Still
Think about it, right? Like, think about you put down a plank, right? Somebody would use that, like somebody with a hole in their roof would steal it and use it to patch the hole in their roof.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, you
know?
got a shit covered piece of wood on your roof now.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's like, think about this though, like the one person who would take the initiative to like build a little bridge, like not even like, because this you wouldn't have to build a real bridge, you just have to build a little teeny bridge from here to here, right? The person that would take initiative to do that person probably has seen, that person's probably always been like that, right? They've always been a doer, a go-getter, or a person of action, right? So like, think about living here your entire life. You probably so fucking beat down and so depressed and so you know what I'm saying, discouraged from every time you like did something that these people fucked it up or fucking, you know what I'm saying, like ruined
You would
it.
hate them. You would have to hate them.
Also, if you do that, you put the target on your back because they'll think he believes he's better than the rest of them. That's how
Yeah.
low IQ
Yeah.
people work.
Or they'll think you're doing some voodoo shit. Like
Yeah,
something
that's
like
you're a
that.
witch doctor or something. Yeah, some
Yeah.
shit like that.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you. Bro.
Yeah, definitely. You think you did, you wouldn't be received well. They wouldn't fucking throw you a parade. They would just, they would probably, you would be punished for it.
But sanitation is something that's
hard to keep the kids clean and healthy.
Yes, yes. Even to play on a clean environment.
And in fact,
Lack of sanitation is the least of Deep Sloot's problems, Golden tells me. It's plagued by crime, violence, and mob justice. The brutality that's a feature of many farm attacks is commonplace here.
Yeah, last year November here it was about.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what I was looking for. This part, I was like, "Where is this? This is That's what I thought with the other little trench that we just saw. That's what I thought this was going to be. But okay, it's over here because it's always like the Western countries take the trash and put it somewhere. Like where I live at, there's a landfill not far, like like in the mountains, not far from where I live. You can see it from the highway. And it's like if they filled it and they put this big like tarp over it, right? So they put a tarp under it so that the shit don't seep into the groundwater. And then once it got so big, they put a tarp over it. And then they put like this mesh shit over it and shit. So that landfill is done. You can't put no more in it. And then I think I don't know what they're gonna do, whether they're gonna burn it, what they're gonna do with the trash. But then they got another landfill that they started. But the idea of taking the trash and putting it somewhere else, Black people haven't figured that out in a million years. You take the trash and you put it somewhere else.
Yeah, but that means
centralization.
That means you have to walk for 10 minutes.
Well, to keep in mind though, like products waste, things that aren't from just like the raw materials from your savage like plain environment didn't exist in Africa, so they never even had the
biodegradable,
right?
Everything was biodegradable.
Exactly. All they were throwing out fucking coconuts and shit, so it's biodegradable.
Of many farm attacks is commonplace here.
Yeah, last year November here it was about 4 suspects.
Okay, so in 100 years they haven't figured out you take the trash and move it somewhere.
The thing about it is like this system existed when whites were running everything. And now that they're running everything, they can't even maintain something that an example was set for them. They just completely throw it out the window. They never saw any value in it in the first place. They didn't understand it.
Yeah,
because they're fine with it.
Of rape, and they brought them here at this
Like,
pile
just
of rubbish.
think about how many fucking rats and fucking whatever the fucks is in that shit, and you live like 10 feet away from that shit.
Well, you're walking around in it and you got cuts on your feet. Feet are getting infected.
Oh yeah, that's how you get sepsis.
And that's how you get fucking Ebola or some shit.
Yeah, some shit
You
like
should see
that.
here. It was a multitude of people that were here. All of them, they were murdered here. They were killed by the residents, stoned, beaten by sharp objects. They put tires around.
Listen to what he's saying. Listen to what the fuck this guy said. He's describing what happened right there. This shit.
Of many farm attacks is commonplace here.
Yeah, last year, November here, there was about 4 suspects who were apprehended by the community. They accused them of rape, and they brought them
The
here.
community.
A pile of rubbish you see here. It was a multitude of people that were here. All of them, they were murdered here. They were killed by the residents, stoned, beaten by sharp objects. They put tires around their neck, poured petrol, then they set them alight on. So they died here.
They were
killed
alive when
Yeah.
they did that.
Yeah, when they brought them here, they were alive. Yeah, they killed them here.
It's not just in the settlements and the countryside that crime is rising. In South Africa's great cities, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban and Pretoria, there's a crime wave too.
Look at that shit, man. White man left us all this shit. Like, this is what that looked like I don't know American city that looks like that, man.
It looks nice.
It's beautiful.
That looks better. DC, of course, don't look like that because we got the limits for buildings and shit. New York, Manhattan, fucking the lower part of Manhattan maybe, but that's a fucking beautiful ass city, man.
I mean, all I can see is those beautiful train tracks. Imagine in Africa how valuable that is to have trains. It's such a huge continent.
I'm telling you, man. And these motherfuckers are like literally killing each other over there. Barbarous, like fucking putting tires around each other's necks and shit in broad daylight and setting each other on fire, killing and shit, and in this fucking city, in this shit.
Destroying the train tracks.
Armed robberies of security vans, home invasions, street muggings. According to the internationally respected Institute for Security Studies in Pretoria, armed attacks have increased 40% since 2012.
We have a real problem with violence and expressed in various different ways. And so for us, sitting in South Africa, looking at these 19,000 murders, looking at trying to get a sense of where it's taking place, the various complex factors that result into it, this growth in armed attacks, the gangs involved in cash and transit heists. And then suddenly there's this international tension on the murders of white farmers. It just sort of seems completely disproportionate. It's not that it isn't a problem. Of course, for the victims, it's terribly traumatic. But it's not the biggest challenge facing South Africa.
Is there any evidence for
the only the problem with what he's saying is that a lot of those murders that he's talking about are amongst black people killing black people, or the coloreds as they call them, the biracials over there killing each other or killing black people. And there's gang violence and there's street crime. Those farmers are like just farming. They're not like into any conflict with anybody. They're not into any proximity with anybody. So that's the difference that he's not trying to say, you know.
Also, imagine if gliders would torture a Sunman over there. It would be international news for weeks. Just one case of torture. Only one.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Well, we just saw that viral video of them putting the guy in the coffin, which was clearly just them fucking with him to make sure he doesn't do it again. Because
I
they're
mean,
gliders, so they're not going to kill him.
I wonder what the reason for that was. Why did they put him in a coffin?
Oh, he was fucking with it. He probably came on their property and did some shit.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Must have been a
Yeah,
reason.
scared the fuck out of them.
Of course they have a reason.
They taught them a lesson. Like, look, next time you're gonna stay in there.